Hello and welcome in to the Dave Campbell's College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Yates, and joining me from beautiful Austin, Texas is senior writer Mike Craven. And Craven, a jam-packed week 6, a lot of surprising results that we can talk about. Where do you think we should start? I'm going to give it dealer's choice here.
Well, I think to me, the best performance of the weekend was Texas Tech at Houston.
All right.
Maybe it's because I was there in the press box to watch that. But, I like to walk around and kind of do a lap before the games. And, what's cool about our job is we get to kind of cover all the levels. We're not just doing the big schools and the SEC. And so you get to see the body types. I was at Texas, Ohio State in week 1. I was at UTSA, Texas State, week 2, and at Baylor, Arizona State, right? You get to kind of see Texas Tech looked a lot more like A&M Auburn and Texas Ohio State than they looked like Baylor Arizona State. It's just doing the lap pregame. It was like, man, there are different bodies out here than there typically are in the Big 12. And then it proved that during the game. As you were sitting there watching it, it was clear Houston couldn't block Texas Tech. The Red Raiders are just better in the trenches than all of these other teams in the Big 12. And that doesn't mean they're going to go undefeated, but it does mean they're going to be favored in all of these football games. And they have a real route to going 12-0 and making the college football playoff and winning the Big 12 and having one of those dream seasons. That's as good as money can buy right now.
So is that what you meant in your post-game column when you said the Big 12 runs through Lubbock? I love the column, by the way, but can you kind of explain what you mean there?
When Texas and Oklahoma left, it felt like there was a race to the top, and it almost felt crabs in a bucket, that there was never going to be a dominant team in the Big 12 again because they would just pull each other back down. It's famously like a 3.5 point line league. It's a coin flip league. Everybody's going to be 8-4, 9-3. There's just a cannibalistic nature to the Big 12 where the SEC has tier 1 teams. The Big 10 clearly has some tier 1 teams. The ACC is known for the Clemson, Florida State, Miami. The Big 12 doesn't have that without Texas, Oklahoma. And I think a lot of people thought it would be Utah or maybe a Kansas State that would emerge into that. Maybe TCU after they went to the championship game and DFW, maybe the Horned Frogs would be that. But with the money and resources and the commitment that Cody Campbell has to making this team great, they're just spending in a superpower way. They're spending like Ohio State, like Oregon, like Miami, and nobody's keeping up. Like when Oregon spends like that, Ohio State's keeping up. Mm-hmm. Penn State's kind of keeping up. Michigan's in the ballpark. When Clemson spends like that, there's Miami and Florida State. The SEC, there's 7-8 schools spending like that. And the Big 12, there's one. And that allowed, they signed the best, or they got a commitment today from the best defensive lineman in the 2027 class in Texas. They have 2 5-stars committed in 27. They have they are at the table in a way that the other programs in the Big 12 aren't. And Texas proved that doesn't always mean everything, right? That doesn't mean that it's open and shut case that Tech is going to win every single year. You can still lose. But they're going to put themselves in the position to run this conference more often than not from a pure talent standpoint. And then it's just up to the staff to get them to play together. And so far, so good.
Yeah, I feel like Cody Campbell is very Littlefinger coded from Game of Thrones, where chaos is a ladder. He saw that opening and spent to get Texas Tech to the top there. And now they're 5-0 for the first time since 2013. And they've won every game by more than 24 points, which is insane. I liked how you said they should embrace that villain role too, because I remember preseason, the Big 12 media days, there was multiple pieces written about anonymous Big 12 coaches and staffers saying, kind of hating on Texas Tech. And are they doing this the right way? And, is this sustainable? So far, so good.
Yeah, so far, so good. And, what struck me, somebody who's watched a lot of Texas Tech football for a lot of years, when has it ever been about defense in the run game?
Never.
They didn't just outplay Houston. They didn't just have more athletes than Houston. They walked into Houston Stadium and just beat them up.
And declared it a home game, by the way. The Texas Tech AD declared it a home game, which For Houston, I felt like Michael Irvin, like, you can't let them walk into your house and take your meal. Like, come on.
And I thought the Cougar fans showed up. I don't think it was overwhelming. I didn't feel as if it was like, oh, this is weird. Like I don't think it ever got to that point. There was, so I think it was a great crowd. It was a great environment for football. A lot of recruits there for Houston. Tech's just better in the trenches, and that just seems wild to say. Like, they ran the ball 50 times for 200.
And Jacoby Williams are MVPs this year for how they stepped up for Quentin Joyner being hurt.
6 tackles for loss, a couple sacks. They get 3 turnovers the other way. Houston was a combined 10 of 25. If you take away that 64-yard touchdown pass to Amari Thomas that I think caught Tech off guard when Zion Chris came into the game, Houston averaged fewer than 4 yards of play. Like, Tech was just dominant. They're just good. Like, that's just a good football team. And now it feels like you have to get to the Big 12 championship game. You have to get to the college football playoff. Like, the table has been set. You have shown how good you are. You've gone on the road a couple of times and beaten some solid opponents. Like, it is right there for Texas Tech. And I wonder what they do with that pressure. I think that's the next question. How do they handle being the hunted? And that's what I mean by embrace it. Like, embrace that villain role. Like, you need something to motivate you now, right? Like, at first it was the doubters, and they're saying you're only here for the money and you're going to fall apart. Like that. I think that runs out. It's like, now you're just a hell of a football team. You're the favorite to win the Big 12. I think there's a large gap here. Like, of all the conferences, who is the biggest favorite? Probably Miami and Tech. SP Plus has Tech as the best odds to go undefeated. Of all the teams left that are undefeated, the team with the best odds to finish the season 12-0 is Texas Tech. Like, and so I think the next thing for the Red Raiders to do is just to embrace it. Like, we saw it with the softball team. The further they got along and the better they were, it just other fan bases like, it's just about the money and you're just paid mercenary. Like, there's a jealousy factor there. There's a hate factor there that Texas got forever, right? Tech fans gave this to Texas fans forever. Just embrace it. Just roll with it. Yeah, we paid for our roster. Like, yeah, and I think Tech being out in Lubbock, they've kind of been the outlaw program before with Leach and the offense and just what they were doing with the air raid. I think the fan base is okay with that. I hope the coaches and the players are as well, because I think it can propel them to a huge season.
If I'm a Tech fan, I am more than okay with the defense you're mentioning. It's so nasty. They forced 3 turnovers, allowed 11 points on 13 possessions. David Bailey is a monster. His 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. I mean, he was hitting out there. And then Jacob Rodriguez, that interception where he then hurdled a man was unbelievable. Also, you mentioned the Zion Chris 64-yard touchdown pass caught them off guard. You think it was also because he changed his name? That caught me off guard.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a very good strategy after a tough season to just be like, I changed my name. I'm a different guy now.
The Houston's offensive average number of plays per drive was 4.
That's ridiculous.
They were 1 of 12 on third down. Like, Tech just dominated. They dominated first down. They dominated second down. That put Houston behind the chains. All of a sudden, they had to pass the ball, and they couldn't do anything with it. Tech was dominant. I've seen A&M. I've seen Texas. I've seen Texas Tech now. I've seen Baylor in person. Tech is legit. Like, Tech, I've seen A&M, Texas, Ohio State in person now. Like, Tech isn't that. Like, they're not quite there yet, especially along the offensive line. It's just like some of the they don't have a Jeremiah Smith, obviously, and things of that nature. But I don't think Tech's ceiling is just winning the Big 12 and seeing how high the seed can be. You look around college football right now, and there's not dominant great teams. Like, Florida State beat an Alabama team that's now rolling through the SEC. It looks like teams can get got, and maybe they can't beat Miami or Ohio State or maybe Oregon or something like that. But they can beat Ole Miss. Like, they can beat a lot of teams that are going to be in the playoff. Like, I don't think this is just let's see if they can get there and they'll be double-digit underdogs to Texas in the Peach Bowl like Arizona State was last year. I think Tech is a really good football team that can win a playoff game or two.
When we had Cody Campbell on the podcast, he gave a very measured take of what he expects for the season. He's kind of like, you just want to be in contention for the Big 12 championship. The ball can bounce different ways. You can get unlucky, but we want to give ourselves a puncher's chance. I feel like the expectations had to have shifted by now.
Yeah.
Where it's Big 12 championship or bust now. It's not just like, oh, we want to be sniffing around. Like, we want to win that thing.
Yeah. If they're not in the college football playoff, it's a disaster of a season. Like that's how good they've looked. Like, I know that's a ridiculous statement for a team that hasn't won a conference championship since the 50s. Like, I understand, but like, you can't watch them play and then go, well, if they lose 2 of their next, 7 games, it'll just be no. Like, BYU is going to be a tough game. At Arizona State is going to be a tough game, but they're going to hold an advantage along the lines of scrimmage and just like Romello Height's the second best defensive end Tech has. And he's the best defensive end in the Big 12 otherwise.
They're a victim of their own success, right? And that's also what Ari Wasserman, when he came on our show and then did that column about how, like, through no fault of Joey McGuire's own, he's on the hot seat now because of how his expectations have changed.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Like, now it is saying Big 12 championship or bust, which is crazy to say on the surface. But if you're watching these games and you're on the field, like you're mentioning, Craven, they're a different team than these other Big 12 teams.
This is dangerous to do, but I'm going to work a take in my head out loud on a podcast.
Let's workshop it.
When Joey was dominant at Cedar Hill and winning all those championships, it's because he could take an ultra talented team and kind of aim them in the right direction and keep them on track and just hone in just the talent. And then surround them with coaches that can do the X's and O's and the schematics and all that kind of stuff. Like, he was just kind of a Pied Piper. And he's now that. Like, he gets to be that again. Like, he just gets to lead the Death Star again. Like, he doesn't have to figure out a schematic way to make an average team great. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have to 8 times a season figure out a way to out scheme Matt Campbell and Chris Kleiman and all these guys, right? And that Tech can't. Like, they have really good coaches. I'm just saying, you don't have to. Now you get to walk in as the favorite 10, 11, 12 times a season. And I think McGuire is perfectly suited because he's done it before. To just lead a bunch of egos and a bunch of talent and kind of keep them on the same track and deal with those expectations and just constantly week in, week out, figure out different ways to push buttons to get them motivated to play a team that they're humans. They watch film and they know they're better than. Mm-hmm. I think he's the perfect man for the job. And to your point, it's not the job he was hired for, but it might be a job that he's better suited for than the one that he was hired for, even though it's the same job at the same place.
That was beautiful. That was seemed like you've been working on that for weeks.
Thank you.
That didn't seem like you just put that off the cuff. That was awesome.
I've been in a car for a lot.
A lot of time to think about that Texas Tech defense.
Yeah, holding a baby.
Is there any concern level with Texas Tech having to kick 7 field goals against Houston?
Yeah, not great, right? Like, you want to score more, especially in the red zone. Like, that game could have been put away early on, and if you're playing a team with a more explosive offense, maybe that comes back to bite you. The defense was so good it never felt like it would. Maybe some of that's on Houston as well. Like, I think we saw Houston's level.
There was a reason they were undefeated and unranked.
But right. But yeah, I think if you're Tech and you're trying to find ways to kind of think of, red zone efficiency, you're going to need to score some touchdowns. It's not like they put up a ton of points early up on Utah either. So you want to see more of that. On the Houston side of the ball, I don't know. I don't want to draw too many conclusions for Houston because I think they played a different type of team than they'll see the rest of the way. Like, what you do against Tech, I don't know is all that predictive of how you'll do in the Big 12. I left the stadium thinking Houston can still win 7 or 8 games given that schedule. We'll see what the Connor Wigman injury is or isn't and how soon he's ready to play. But they just had no chance offensively with how mismatched their offensive line was against Tech's defensive line.
I think going into the game, you drew this up preseason as Houston losing. You went out on a limb and were like, Houston's going to start 6-1. And that was a take quake before the season started. And even in your take quake, it was like, they're still going to lose to Tech.
Well, this was the one.
Yes.
This was This
even
was
in
the one.
wildest fantasy, it was like they're going to start 6-1. They're going to shock the nation. But even in that wild fantasy, they lose this game.
Yep. And they get off the mat and go to Oklahoma State, which, pretty much a dead team walking there. And then you're back at home against Arizona. Like, those are 2 winnable games, and you can be 6-1. You still have West Virginia. You still have UCF on your schedule. So, this team can get to 8 wins. Like, I really think it can. I just think the biggest question mark coming out of the week is just what Connor Wigman is.
Yeah. Well, if Texas Tech's a well-oiled machine, what does that make the Texas Longhorns? A clunker right now.
I've been waiting to talk to you about this for close to 24 hours now.
All right, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Texas gets swamped 29-21 against Florida. The preseason number 1 Longhorns are now 3-2, 0-1 in SEC play. They haven't beaten a Power 4 opponent. We're in October, and they are unranked for the first time since 2022. What do you want to ask, Craven? Hit me.
This is bigger than an Arch Manning thing, correct?
Yeah, my take on the Texas offense before this game was I can't judge any of this personnel until the quarterback gets over the yips. Well, now I'm ready to judge the personnel, and there's major issues with the offensive line, with the run game, with the lack of threats at wide receiver, especially when Livingston goes down and Mosley's been injured all year. There's what's the word I'm looking for? Intrinsic issues with this Texas offense.
Florida had the better quarterback, the better running back. Dallas Wilson is a legit star, like the better wide receiver and the better offensive line.
Yeah, real quick on Dallas Wilson, that catch where he punched Kobe Black in the face and then basically carried Jelani McDonald 10 yards into the end zone. Jelani McDonald's the best Texas athlete they have. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's grown man stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Texas is supposed to have a few transcendent talents in that way. And even defensively, Texas doesn't have a sack against Power 4 competition this year. Like against Ohio State, against Florida, they haven't recorded a sack yet.
Yeah, I haven't recorded a win either.
That's probably related. That's with Colin Simmons. That's with Anthony Hill. Like at Texas, you're supposed to have dudes, and they've recruited to have dudes. They're not there. Ryan Wingo's a fine football player. I think Trey Wisner is a fine football player. DJ Campbell's a good offensive lineman. But for a team that routinely recruits top 5 talents and has had time to kind of bake some of that talent, it's not like they're asking a bunch of true freshmen to do this. These are guys that have been in the system for a couple of years. Like Steve, the thing that I keep thinking of is, how did Steve Sarkisian see this in practice and not know to sound the alarm earlier?
I think that's why Arch Manning never came in for Quinn Ewers when everyone was clamoring for it. I think he saw this.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I guess I mean more of like, how do you come out of spring ball and not go, holy crap, we need a guard in the portal. We probably need another tackle in the portal. We should have given Cam Williams whatever he wanted to stay in college for another year along the offensive tackle position. I guess I'm perplexed at how, especially against that Texas defense, which I think is pretty good. Like in practice, it had to look pretty similar to that. You can't sell me the line of, well, we're just not bringing it to Saturdays and like it's going to come out. You haven't seen what we see in practice. They are really good. They look great. BS. Like we've seen 5 data points now. Like this is who the Texas offense is. There's no way behind the curtain they're lighting up this Texas defense for the last 8 months. If you're Sark, I'm just surprised you didn't see the talent. You didn't see it and go like, we need to do what LSU did and go like reinforce some positions that are other than defensive tackle. They don't look great at edge. They don't look great at offense. Like, I don't know. It just seems like a team that needed some new blood beyond what it has.
So I think it's a really good point. And watching that game, I'm not smart enough to be able to tell how much of the 6 sacks on Manning are because the offensive line is outmatched and how much of it is because Manning pre-snap is putting them in a position to fail. And that might be unknowable.
And it's probably both.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably work through each other, right? Like you don't have Jake Majors to fix his mistakes. And Arch doesn't, you don't have Quinn Ewers to fix the offensive line's mistakes, right? Like they're both playing off each other. Like you don't have experience at either spot. And so it's just blind leading the blind probably. And I imagine they take turns with fault. Like that's probably what's most frustrating behind the scenes for Sarkisian. If it's just a quarterback issue, you can probably cover it up. If it's just an offensive line issue, you can probably cover it up. If it's just a skill position issue around Arch Manning being talented enough, you can probably cover it up. If it's all three of those things working congruently together, you're effed. And it seems like Texas is like in that ballpark right now.
I feel like with the offensive line too, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And I'm trying to tread lightly here. I think Texas' weakest link is very weak on that offensive line.
Yeah, the left guard position is not good.
Yes. I think Texas, like, because DJ Campbell, I think, is really freaking good.
Yeah.
I think Cole Hudson to Jake Majors, like Jake Majors is probably better, but it's not by that much. I think
where Jake Majors is better would help this offensive line. But yeah, sure. I get your point. Yes, totally.
But Connor Stroh had a 48.8 pass grade on PFF. And Nick Brooks, a true freshman who they had to throw in for him, had a 0. had 0.0.
Yeah, so not great. Yeah, they allowed 6 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. Like Arch Manning deserves some criticism. He was overhyped, obviously, which is not his fault, but he hasn't played well. Like even if he wasn't overhyped, just as a starting quarterback in the SEC for a team like Texas, he hasn't played well. If his name was Brad Smith, he would be getting heat for how he's played. So like totally. But I think the first time this year, maybe this is on me for being slow. For the first time this season, I left a Texas game going, oh, this isn't about Arch Manning.
I agree with you. I think people who are saying, wow, Arch Manning is ass and he is a complete failure and this Texas team needs to throw in the backup right away and it'd be fixed because of that one throw Matthew Caldwell had. I think you're click farming, honestly. I think it's a bigger issue here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess look at how much better DJ Lagway looked when they ran for 159 yards and had Dallas Wilson on the field.
Texas had 15 yards rushing outside of Arch Manning.
Right.
15.
Right.
There's some stats from this game. Nick Brooks having a 0.0 PFF grade and Texas having 15 rushing yards. And it's like, how did that happen? Wow.
Right. And this is not me saying Arch Manning is good.
No, he hasn't been great this year.
This is just me saying against Florida in that game, Arch Manning was not a top 3 or 4 reason in which the Longhorns offense stunk.
I totally agree. Yeah. So I was watching this game. I was at a wedding yesterday and
you got a fall schedule, my friend.
Yeah. So it was a fiance's family wedding and everyone was saying grace, in the wedding to get it started. And me and her cousin were heads bowed watching the final drive that Texas had.
Praying.
So Arch Manning got sacked about 2/3 of the way through the prayer. And I had to hold it in from not reacting and having everyone look over at me.
Well, that's what you get for not completely buying into the prayer there. Like
I know I can't help but feel partially responsible 100%. For that last sack.
That trick play could have changed the game. That the kind of wide receiver pass, they missed the tight end, kind of overthrow it. They would have been a 1 possession game there. It's just not working offensively for Texas. And I think for the first 5 weeks of the season, myself included, most of the talk was surrounding Arch Manning and what he is doing to hold back the Texas offense. And again, this is not me saying Arch Manning changed anything to like not hold back the Texas offense, but I don't think you need to hold it back. It's just not there. And there is a litany of reasons in which the Longhorns are going to underachieve this year. And it's not just all a Manning conversation.
Texas is opened up as a 3.5-point favorite against OU. Right now, I'd take OU because that OU front seven is going to get after Arch Manning.
Yeah, I would suggest running to the table and betting that now. If you're, I can't imagine it stays.
Well, okay. When it opened at 3.5, Texas is favored. I said, how in the world are they favored? And then I remember John Mateer might be out, and then a chill went down my spine. And I was like, oh my God, Oklahoma might beat Arch Manning in Texas preseason #1 with a backup quarterback. And then our pets' heads are falling off.
Yeah. Although, wouldn't that be, I remember even before this line came out, like in the Houston press box, I was talking to some, it's like one of them said, like, wouldn't it be the most Red River thing in the world is if Texas goes and wins this football game,
Also true.
And so who the hell, when the corn dogs are out, who knows what's going to happen? I worry about the Texas offensive line against the OU defensive line, obviously.
I do feel like Arch got some eye of the Tiger back, though. He made a couple plays against Florida where it's like, okay, that's pretty high level. The key for him is, can he make the routine plays all the time?
Yeah, he definitely makes the hard throws sometimes in a way that makes you more frustrated with how poorly he misses the easy throws at times.
Mm-hmm. So Red River is going to be the narrative bowl. I mean, it's going to be
both fan bases pre-game are going to be like so nice to each other because neither one feels good about their football team. Usually, this is one of my favorite things. I don't want to get on a tangent here because we have a lot of games to talk about. But one of my favorite things at the state fair is that typically there's been a couple of occasions where both teams have come in flying high and like on top of the world, and they both think they're going to win, and like both fan bases are talking noise early. But usually there is a fan base that is worried they're about to get their brains kicked in front of them, and so there's kind of like, we're just here for fun, like this is college football. Like it's the friends you make along the way. Like we're not,
don't you love this atmosphere?
Yeah, there's a game. We're playing a game. We're keeping score. Like I thought. But both fan bases are going to be like that pregame or maybe it'll wash out, and so they'll both be a-holes to each other again. But I think both have reasons to fear what they're going to see on Saturday, and that's going to make for a very like puckered environment pregame, and I'm excited to kind of breathe that in a little.
Is John Mateer officially out for this game?
I don't think he's officially out, but we'll see. I mean, they have to do injury reports and stuff now. So unless you're Utah, and so we'll see what that looks like.
All right, let's take it over to the Texas team in the SEC that is an SEC favorite. It's the Aggies. They maul Mississippi State 31-9. They are one of 3 SEC teams with Ole Miss and Alabama who are 2-0 in conference play. Craven, you wrote about it in your 10 thoughts. Hey, A&M was in the same position last year. They were 2-0 in the SEC. But why are you declaring them SEC favorites? Why is this year different?
Well, an SEC favorite and SEC favorite, right? I think when people talk about A&M, they keep saying the word dark horse, like, oh, the Aggies are dark. I think they're just one of the favorites now. And to me, it looks different than last year because the defense is starting to click. They've been excellent on third down. They're starting to really get into the backfield and have some tackles for loss. They had 9 tackles for loss. Mississippi State ran 51 plays. Like that's a pretty wild clip. Mississippi State bad on third down. Auburn was bad on third down, but it's the offense. Like last year, you couldn't count on Marcel Reed in the passing game. At this time last year, you were still wondering who the quarterback was going to be, if it was going to be Connor Wegman or Marcel Reed. They're over 400 yards for the 4th straight game, and we're starting to see what I thought the A&M offense would look like in terms of like scheme and play design and just play call, like the variance. 23 passing attempts, 54 rushing attempts. They've run the ball more in 2 SEC games than they did in the 4 non-conference games.
I saw that. It's an insane stat, and I love it.
They did. I would love to know why. I guess it's maybe just a matchup thing. I know Mississippi State's not great against the run, but it's just to me, it feels like they spent the first few weeks of the season really building up the passing game and getting those guys touches and getting some continuity, letting the running backs get healthy. Owens coming back from injury, Moss coming back from injury. And now that they're in kind of big time SEC physical time, they're turning into the play defense, run the football team that I thought Texas A&M would be. And that travels. You can be consistent with that when you add a couple of big time weapons in Concepcion and Craver to the outside.
I said it on the preview podcast, but it really is the reverse sandbag by Elko of like, hey, these first few games, we know we're going to win. We're going to spin it around the yard and throw the craziest route concepts at you. And then in the games where it really matters, we're going to go back to running halfback dive down your face over and over and over again.
Yeah, no doubt. I think especially you look at A&M's schedule, it's set up for them to make a run at this thing, to really be in the mix. Like, they don't play Alabama, they don't play Ole Miss, they don't play Tennessee. They do have some tough road games. They still have to go to Missouri, still have to go to LSU, still have to go to Texas. Is it crazy that I would be more worried about the Missouri game than these other two right now? I wouldn't have said that going into the season, but I just really like the balance of Texas A&M. Cassius Howell with another 3-sack game. Torian York has been
playing possessed,
just absolutely incredible. Those cornerbacks, Will Lee, Des Ricks, like, those guys have been really, really good. You're starting to see the defense kind of have some more Elko in the, like, this is looking more and more like an Elko type defense. What we thought we'd see. They're just, what's their weakness?
Well, they on the defense, they forced Mississippi State into the 3 funniest turnovers I've seen, where Cassius Howell hit Blake Shapen's hand. He threw a pop fly that literally left the screen and just dropped into the cornerback's hands. And then they're in Mississippi State's inside their own 20, and Blake Shapen like mishandles the read option, just like rolls the ball to the defensive end. And then the last fumble where Mississippi State receiver has it and literally like forward pitches it to the Aggie defense. It's like, okay, A&M 1 is holding teams now to a few points, and they're forcing turnovers too. Like, they're a scary defense. I don't know what their weakness is right now, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
because last year it was the passing game, and now they have 3 awesome receivers, probably. Their 2 defense is playing lights out. I would have said it preseason, the run defense is the weakness. Seems like they fixed it. So, yeah, the crowd is amazing. Like, okay, here's a crazy stat about the crowd. That was the 5th largest crowd in program history. 6 of the 9 largest crowds have come during the Mike Elko era. Like, they're humming.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a lot of good vibes. They seem pretty balanced. Ruben Owens' emergence is great. Let's see what Le'Veon Moss is. He was kind of dinged up during the game, didn't finish it. Elko just he didn't really give a concrete answer after the game if he's going to be available and not. But yeah, I mean, I think all the question marks we had about A&M coming into the season, could they fix their secondary? Could they throw the ball? Could they make big plays in the passing game? Yes.
Resounding yes to all.
And they're doing it in just a smart. I think Colin Klein deserves a lot of credit for what they're doing with the offense. Like, the passing game has been explosive, but it hasn't been because they're just flinging it down. They had 180 passing yards against Mississippi State. 103 of them were after the catch. And so I think it's a lesson in, this isn't just about talent acquisition. It's about putting together pieces that fit. And the previous staff, A&M fans don't need to be told this, because the previous staff was the opposite of this. It was just like, do you watch cooking shows like Top Chef and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
The previous staff was just like, let's go to the store and buy the most expensive ingredients that we can with no real plan of what we're going to cook, and we'll just figure it out. Like, we have caviar and all, like, we'll make a great dish. This current staff has a big budget. Like, it's not like A&M's bargain shopping, but it's like they put together an idea of what their menu is going to look like before they went to the store. And they said to each other, like, Marcel Reed is not John Elway. How can we make this passing offense better? Like, how can we go spend our money to make this passing offense better? Like, we can take all the money we'd spend on a quarterback and go into, like, let's go find wide receivers that can be after the catch guys. And they found 2 that are gems. And then you add Bussy kind of around them. He's a similar type of player that they hope kind of grows into what Craver and Concepcion is. It just feels like a team that is well balanced, well put together. It suits each other. There's complementary football, like all the stupid cliche stuff that coaches talk about that win games in October and November.
Yeah, well, Concepcion is a monster. He had the awesome punt return. I think it got called back, but still was awesome. Then multiple catches where he's kind of their downfield threat too, but really good yak. And then the 3 other receivers, Mario Craver, number 1, Terry Bussey, number 2, Ashton Bethel Roman, number 3. They all look the exact same. Like, they're all like
tight,
the same build with dreads. Like, it's the funniest thing. Like, I never know which one caught the ball when they first catch it.
Yeah, they've hit in the transfer portal. They've hit in recruiting. Like you've seen, like Sanford coming on at linebacker has been big along big along the defensive line. The offensive line's getting better and better. It's a good football team. And like I said in the piece, I think we can take the dark horse tag away. And to me, that doesn't mean Texas A&M is going to go 11-1 and be in the SEC championship, but I don't think they're a fraud. And last year, I felt like they were. Like, this isn't second guessing. Like we talked about it. Like they were. It was a like kind of house of cards football team last year. They're just a legit good football team now.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go over to the Big 12 now. Some big time results there. First one is Baylor. The Bears winning a thriller over Kansas State, 35-34. I'm going to recap the end of this game because it was insane. The Bears are down 31-17 with 9 minutes to go. And Craven, you called it. That this game had that score at that time of the game written all over it. You know, Kansas State jumping out to a lead. You're saying, what's going on? This Dave Aranda tenure is hanging in the balance. Then Michael Trigg goes Megatron mode. More on that later. Jacob Redding has a pick six. Kansas State responds with what should have been a touchdown, but Caldrew Williford has the best face mask penalty you've ever seen. He rips the guy's helmet off, and the play is blown dead. They have to kick a field goal, which then sets up Baylor kicking what ended up being the game winner. They block Kansas State's attempted game-winning field goal, and the Bears are back, baby. A much-needed win.
We talk about how this isn't your older brother's Big 12 a lot. This was a game that your older brother would have recognized. Like you could go back in time 20 years and be like, "Oh yes, this glove fits correctly." What I worry about with discussions with Baylor right now is it feels like every single game is a referendum, positive or negative, on the Dave Aranda tenure in a way that probably isn't fair to the team. You know what I mean? Like not every game should be like a fire or keep Aranda situation, because they're 4-2 and they still have a chance to go win the Big 12. Like, they control their own destiny in this league. Like, they can go win out and have a shot to play. Remember, both teams in the Big 12 championship last year were 7-2 in the conference. Like, this is going to get weird and wacky, and Baylor's got the offense to go win this thing. Like, Michael Trigg is incredible. We talk about the triplets for Baylor a lot with Sawyer Robertson, Josh Cameron, Bryson Washington. Michael Trigg probably deserved more respect through the offseason. I remember telling you after week 1 that the first real mistake I knew I made in the magazine was not having Trigg on the All-State team. Yeah. Like, it was the first, like, dang it, like, man, I messed that one up. He's really, really good. This Baylor team can outscore anybody. The questions, as always, are going to be on the defensive side of the ball, but they got a touchdown on their own. And, like, if you're going to give up a bunch of points, if you can create some on your own, then that can help mitigate it a little bit. You saw the crowd, and they're down 14 in the fourth quarter, and it just doesn't feel good, right? It just doesn't feel right. And then they make their second 14-point comeback of the season against a good team, solid team. And you're like, okay, even if the fan base is out on Dave Aranda, the locker room clearly isn't, because they could have folded after 2-4 last year, and then they went on that big run, and they could have folded against SMU. They could have folded against 20 people when 20 people are in the stands against Kansas State, and they didn't. And that's got to say something about what this coaching staff has within the locker room.
100%. And I know we're falling into the meme of, like, after all these games, we go, how does this affect Dave Aranda's legacy?
Right.
How does this affect his tenure? But it's so impossible not to talk about it with the crowd shots you mentioned. So, like, Michael Trigg, for instance, that one-handed catch into the stare down was the play of the year. It was so much aura coming from this tight end. I'm watching it over and over. Like, I can't believe he made this play. And then I look behind him like, wait, that's a whole lot of bleacher I see. Like, why is no one here to see this catch? And, dude, some of those stadium shots were bleak. Like, those stadium shots were, it's the fourth quarter of the spring game. instead of it's the fourth quarter in a Big 12 conference game and your team's about to come back from 14 down. This team's 4-2, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. I remember I was at the Arizona State game and was like, what is this? Like, where's the crowd? Like, they had just beaten SMU in double overtime. They'd only lost one game. This is the defending Big 12 champion, and it was at night, so you couldn't use the whole like it's hot or it's 11 a.m. or whatever. It was a night game, and there wasn't anybody there. And it was even worse against Kansas State. It's why I said the Wildcats were a sneaky like underdog pick. Like if you were a gambling person, Kansas State 6.5, like Kansas State money line. My money was on it because it was this 11 a.m. kick. You knew what the stands were going to look like. But credit to the roster for not letting any of that bother you, because you've played sports before. You notice it. You're not like immune to the fact that there's nobody there except for your mom. Like you can all of a sudden hear your mom's voice in the stands. You're like, wait a second. Typically, I can't hear that.
That looked like the crowd my junior year of high school when we went 0-10. Like that's what that looked like. I saw that crowd. I was like, I've seen that before.
Yeah, you just start tweaking. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. I mean, are people opting out of Baylor games because they're so stressful? Like, are they trying to protect their mental health because it keeps coming down to the wire?
I just think, I don't know. I mean, they're 4-12 going into that game against P4 opponents at home since the start of 2022. Like, I think the fan base is just ready for change. Like, I really do. And I don't know how they get them back, because had you talked to anybody in July and said, well, they're 4-2, 1-1 in the Big 12 going into their open week in week 7. Be like, yeah, with Auburn and SMU and Arizona State and Kansas State, like, sign me up. That's a pretty solid start. And so they're not even underachieving and there's nobody there. So like, what is the remedy? And I don't know. I mean, you work for the fans, right? Like, I mean, and so if they're out, I guess you got to be, that's why I said, I hate that this has put us in a situation, and I know why we have to do it, but I hate that every Baylor result has become like, should you or should you not with Dave Aranda, when this team is just as alive as TCU in the Big 12 championship race. And we're not going to have this conversation with Sonny Dykes, since because TCU's fans still show up.
My thing is, like, did the Auburn game really take that much wind out of the sails? Was that really the deciding factor? Because if so, then what were you expecting, Baylor? It shouldn't have, but I do think it did. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, dude, that's a SEC opponent that I know they were a little down last year, but they revamped their entire roster through the transfer portal. Like, they're a damn good football team. And that game was like they lost by a touchdown. They didn't get blown out in that game. Or am I remembering that wrong? I might be remembering that wrong. I mean, they were in it. You know, they had bad red zone and they gave up a bunch of runs. 38-24. Okay. Yeah. And that's with like a couple red zone turnovers and stuff like that. They didn't get run off the field. I just think it's just the way that they lose. And I just think it's the giving up a bunch of points. And then it's just well, here we go again. We always lose at home. Like there's three seasons now of like, we just lose these games at home. Why even go? It's hot outside. It's an 11 a.m. kick. Kansas State stinks. They lost to Army. Like, we're not any good. Like, there's no point in going. And I don't know. Apathetic is a tough place to find your fan base. And it does feel like that's where the Baylor fan base is right now. Despite them being, like we just said, like they're in this thing and their schedule sets up to where like they can make a little bit of a run here. Like, let's see here. They have their open week this week, which comes at a good time. You go at Tennessee. You got at Tennessee, at Cincinnati. Like the two road games after that, like you go win those football games. Tennessee? Or at TCU, sorry. Oh, I was about to say, like a rare SEC Big 12 midseason clash. At TCU, at Cincinnati. I don't know. I find it very perplexing, and if you're the administration, I don't know what you do, but I hate that it's taking up the in-season conversation, because this is a fun team to watch. Like Arizona, even the game that they lost against Arizona State, like they just play classics. Like every game that seems like they play is insane. They're a lot of fun to watch, and I wish we didn't have to talk about the ramifications of every single win. That's also the brand of football too. Is why I kind of lean towards saying this is on you, Baylor fans, a little bit, because it's not like they're out there running the wing T and losing every game like 21-3.
Yeah.
Like, even if they lose, the game's wild.
Yep.
I don't get it.
In terms of like watchability, Baylor's probably been number one this year. Like, if you had to go back and sit there and watch all these games again, like, you're like, you can take somebody in the state's schedule and you have to sit there on a Sunday and watch all of their football games from like when you wake up to when you go to sleep. Who do you want to pick? You'd probably pick Baylor. Like, they've been the most entertaining game. But yeah, the fan base is clearly kind of out, and I don't know what it takes. Maybe they're back in. If you go beat TCU, if you go 1-1 against TCU and Cincinnati, or somehow win both of those games, maybe they're back. But it's a concerning thing for sure.
All right, Baylor's on a bye week, so we have at least a week break of talking about Dave Aranda's head coaching ability for the future. A week break from talking about his fate. Let's go to the rival now, TCU, the Horned Frogs. They beat Colorado 35-21 in a game that was a lot closer than it appears. Colorado's up 14-0 in that game. Then they're tied 21-21 with 7 minutes in the fourth quarter. TCU's actually punting it away, and it hits a Colorado guy in the shoulder pads, and then they get the ball going into the end zone, going in like they're on their 30 going in. Craven, you're not ready to declare TCU a Big 12 favorite yet, and why is that?
It's just the eye test. Like, when you watch TCU, does it give you a ton of confidence that they're going to be consistently good throughout the way? Like, Colorado's not a good football team. And it felt like the Horned Frogs, especially early on, were doing everything they could to give Colorado that football game. The penalties, just the dumb mistakes. The run game stinks. It's just so much like Josh Hoover hero ball.
Which?
Yeah, right. But as we saw last year, there was like 4 or 5 games where he threw multiple interceptions because you're eventually gonna strike out on those. Arizona State was one of those games already this year, and so I agree with you. Like, when you look at how they play, like that's all you can do. You know, like you don't try to force balance just to force it. Like, you know, Josh Hoover's your best player. The passing attack's what you got. You lean on it. You go with it. You try to outscore teams. But man, that's a tough way to live, right? And I just don't. When I watch TCU, and like, throw the North Carolina game out the window, we have enough data now to know North Carolina is the worst Power 4 team in the country. Like that. Mm-hmm. TCU's a pretty solid football team, but they have deficiencies and they have some issues that I don't know if they're fixable in season. And it's just, can Josh Hoover go be a Heisman finalist? Because if he can, TCU's in Arlington, they're playing for Big 12 championship. I just think it's going to bite them once or twice.
I agree with you. They won this game. It was not as lopsided as it appears. And also, Colorado was not good. And also, they had 4 turnovers, which was the most they've had since 2022.
Right. Yep.
So,
but if you play like that, do you beat Iowa State? Do you beat BYU? Do you beat Cincinnati? You still got to go to Houston, which beat you last year at home. Like, you got Baylor at home, who can put up a crap ton of points. You throw an interception or 2 against Baylor, that may be the difference in the shootout. Like, when you watch Tech, you can see something that, like, they can build on. Like, there's an identity with Texas Tech that feels easier to carry over week in, week out. The whole defense travels trope, the run game, there's balance and kind of complementary football there. Really, with TCU, it's like, how well did Josh Hoover play? Was he perfect? If he was perfect, TCU probably won. It's like the map, you know, like, answer this, yes or no, and then you move to it. Like, if Hoover played perfect, yes, they have a chance to win. If Hoover didn't play perfect, no, they have no chance to win. Can he play perfect 7 times in a row? Like, I just doubt it.
I don't think you saw it with the Arizona State game.
Yep.
That's the class of opponent in the Big 12 that it's going to be coin flips, because Josh Hoover's really freaking good, and he'll give you a few perfect games and you'll win some like that, but he's not going to do it every time. No human can do it every time.
Yeah. There's going to be a game or 2 where you're just off, or a wide receiver's injured, or just something. A tipped pass or 2. Like, it didn't even have to be because Hoover had a bad game. there's no balance. There's no semblance of balance. There's nothing to fear if you're a defense in terms of the run game. And maybe as Convoy Barnes gets healthier and healthier, that comes back a little bit. But week 1 against North Carolina sold us some goods that weren't true. That run game is not fixed. It is not a great offensive line that's going to push you around. Like, they have not solved those issues. And so this still very much is 2024 TCU with a little bit improved of a defense. And I'm not saying they're going to go 8-4. I think they probably go 9-3. But I don't know if that's going to be enough to win the Big 12 or get to the Big 12 championship. Like, they're going to stub their toe once or twice, and it's going to feel frustrating because they have the pieces to be one of the best teams in this conference. I just think they're going to hold themselves back with the run game and the penalties.
On that defensive positive, Jamel Johnson is a beast.
Stud.
He had 2 interceptions against SMU. He had the first interception on Salter yesterday, and then he also broke up a pass on the goal line that Obi Izor picked. So he's been all over the field.
Tristan Johnson, like, they have some players. Obi Izor is a really good player. Bud Clark, obviously. Like, I like the Andy Avalos defense and like what they are. They're not going to be like Bama 10 years ago, right? Like, those defenses don't exist very much. Who's their best pass rusher? Are they dominant along the trenches? Probably not. And maybe that doesn't matter most weeks in the Big 12, but Cincinnati scares me. BYU and their physicality would scare me. Iowa State, I know they didn't play well against Cincinnati, but like, those are teams that will challenge you in the trenches and see if you can hang for 60 minutes. And that's still my question mark with TCU, is if they can win those kind of games.
This is random, but did TCU's numbers look pink to you as you're watching on the TV?
If they did, I didn't notice. I didn't notice.
Okay. Then I might have just been because I was watching in a bar and it was a little late in the night and I started seeing pink numbers. But anyway.
That's that wedding you're at.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to SMU. They spank Syracuse 31-18. Another game where this one looks closer than it actually was. The score is not really indicative of how the game was played. They were up 31-3 with 12 minutes left. Craven, did SMU figure something out, or is Syracuse not good?
Maybe a little bit of both. I think SMU has gotten healthier at wide receiver and tight end, and that is allowing Kevin Jennings in the passing attack to look like what we thought maybe it would look like. 29 of 35, 285 yards, 4 touchdowns, 183 rating. But Romello Brinson's healthy. Jordan Hudson's healthy. RJ Maryland caught a touchdown pass. Like, Matthew Hibner's been a really good tight end. Like, they're starting to have more and more weapons. Like, Jalen Cooper gets to be a true freshman. He gets to be the 3rd or 4th option instead of like, hey, young man, you got to be out there and be a star here. They're getting healthier out wide. I think that is helping them. The defense looked better, but Syracuse is without their starting quarterback. I think defensively, I don't draw many conclusions for SMU because that might be a Syracuse issue. Offensively, I am encouraged by the health of their skill position players and that helping Kevin Jennings look a lot better in the pass game.
Didn't he complete 16 passes in a row at one point? I think you wrote that in 10 thoughts.
Yeah, he didn't have an incompletion in the second or the third quarter.
Yeah, so that's unbelievable. He finishes 29 of 35 for 285 yards and 4 touchdowns and a pick. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you can win with that.
Mm-hmm. All right, I didn't really have much on that game. Syracuse doesn't have a quarterback, not that good.
Yep. We will draw conclusions in a couple weeks when they're at Clemson.
Okay. Now we need to talk about the group of 5 teams in Texas because it was a bad week. It was kind of a disaster class from our guys in the G5, G6. Let's start with Texas State. Heartbreaker, 31-30 loss to Arkansas State. Again, going to kind of recap what happened if you missed it at the end. What a game, first off. Like, hats off to these 2 programs for playing an awesome game. 41 combined points in the 4th quarter. Brad Jackson has a 60-yard quarterback draw scramble that results in Texas State getting a touchdown with a minute left. You think that's the game winner. Then they missed the PAT, which brutal. And then Arkansas State quarterback Jalen Rayner goes God mode and leads them down the field. 5 straight completions, had a run in there. He was killing them on the ground all night. But Craven, this just feels like the Texas State cycle with GJ Kinney. It's every year they get a signature win to start off in week 1 or 2, everyone starts talking about GJ Kinney, what power forward job is going to get next, and then they lay an egg against a Sun Belt team they should beat.
Yeah, I mean, in 23 they start 4-1. Last year was 4-2. This year 3-1. They went 3-4 down the stretch in 2023. They went 3-3 down the stretch in 2024. We'll see what they do now. October's been a tough month for Kinney. 3-5 in the month of October. They're 9-4 leading into October. So they get off to fast starts. 2 of those losses are to Arizona State, right? So they typically get off to fast starts. They beat peer competition. They have taken control of the UTSA series. They beat Baylor. We've seen that GJ Kinney can raise the floor, like we get to the ceiling, right? Like we see the highs of what the Kinney tenure can be. This is the other side of the coin. This is the young, inexperienced head coach, I think sometimes just getting got. Like this is becoming a trend. Like they lost a couple in 2023 that they shouldn't have. They lost a couple in 2024 that they shouldn't have. And now you lose one here that you probably shouldn't against a bad team. That's the week in, week out consistency is the next step of the evolution. And also going on the road. Like they've been pretty much a 500 team on the road in his tenure. To go from raising the floor to 7-8 wins a season and being a bowl team to competing for the conference championship is winning the games you're supposed to win. And that's the battle for Texas State.
Why do they keep doing this? Why do they do this every year? Why is this is there a clear answer you think for this?
I think some of it is they don't have a good enough defense to have a off night offensively.
Mm-hmm.
Like the offense wasn't great for most of the game, and then they explode in the fourth quarter, and they just couldn't get a stop. I mean, even with the extra point getting missed, like Arkansas State's got to go the length of the field and score a touchdown in a minute with no timeouts.
Well, they ran.
They did have a couple timeouts.
They did have prevent defense that was just like preventing a win,
and they did have a couple timeouts. I misspoke there. They did have a couple timeouts, but you should win that football game. It should be a close shave where you're like, oh man, luckily Brad Jackson, the offense turned it on at the end there. We would have lost that game on the road to Arkansas State. Like that saved our season. But you can't get the stop. You just need one stop and you can't get the stop. And on the road, other teams play well. And Texas State's going to get everybody's best shot in the Sun Belt this year. They're the team that's kind of like leaving for the Pac-12. And so I do think there's a sense of pride there. It can be a kind of a big win for your program that you can hang your hat on. But this has been an issue for this staff and for this program. And as good as they've been, I think this is the thing holding them back. Like there's we're going to talk about a program in a second that just doesn't have the ceiling anymore that they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Texas State's got the ceiling. They just have to figure out a way to weather these storms and to just go win these football games. I think that's somewhat just probably just maturity, coaching staff experience. Like their OC is not very experienced. The DC hasn't been coaching very long. This is Kinney's 4th year as a head coach. Like it's still a young staff figuring it out. And I think this is when you see that. It's easy to get up for Arizona State and for UTSA and for Baylor. Can you go on the road to Arkansas with 3,000 fans in the stands and still play well and go win? That's harder, honestly.
Yeah, and I don't want to psychoanalyze here and do a verbal think piece, but I don't know. Let me do it anyway. Kinney, when you see Kinney interact with people and you see his kind of aura he has about him, he's a very swaggering figure. Like he has a lot of confidence in himself, and it's made him such a good athlete. Such an outstanding quarterback, and it makes him a really good coach too. But it's also kind of his blessing and his curse because I feel like that swagger plays really well when you're the underdog and you're like, no, we're going to go kick Baylor's ass. But then it's also kind of hinders them sometimes when they go play Arkansas State in front of 30,000 people. It's like, yeah, we're going to go kick Arkansas State's ass. And then it comes back to bite them.
Yeah, I think it works really well in big games, in big moments when the spotlight's on you and you need that shot of confidence. And there's a little bit of doubt. And it's like, no, we're better than this team. We can go beat this team. Like, screw Baylor. Who's Baylor? We can go, UTSA didn't own us. We can go beat UTSA. We can get up for Arizona State at home. but I think you're right. I think some of that can become arrogance really quick. Where
Yes.
you look over in Arkansas State, not even consciously. Like it's not like, I mean, I don't think they actually looked over Arkansas State.
Yes, exactly.
But I think in the margins and the game there's not wide margins. It's not like Texas State's Georgia or something. Like they're not that much more talented than Arkansas State. When the margins are, relatively thin, it just comes down to some mentality, some maturity. And, I just think there was an anonymous quote in the magazine basically about this. Where it's like, can they do it consistently? They are a young staff that is a little bit immature. Like, can they do this consistently? And it bit them. It bit them again, just like it did against Sam Houston last year and Old Dominion and Georgia State in 23. Like, there's been enough of these games now to like see it as a trend. I think they've lost 5 or 6 games as favorites in 2 years and 5 games, and that's probably a thing that has to be resolved or figured out. And I'm not smart enough to know what it is, but I think it's a trend at this point.
All right, we talked about GJ Kinney. Let's talk about his mentor now, and Jeff Traylor. Man, this podcast is ending on a bummer here. UTSA loses 27-21 to Temple. They're up 14-3 at half. Dude, I think this is a bad loss. Like, I know the positive spin is like Traylor said, hey, these are 2 good teams. It's a 1-possession ball game, first conference game. Like, it's Temple. Casey Keeler's a hell of a coach.
Dude,
love
Keeler.
KC.
That's the first thing. Like, hats off to the Wizard, man. I miss you.
He's awesome.
I miss you, KC. I think you're top 5 most underrated. Like Jerry Kill, Casey Keeler. Like, there's some guys that are just ball coaches. Bronco. There are just some guys that are just some ball coaches, and Casey Keeler is one of those. And we saw a master class. Like, Temple outscored UTSA 24-7 in the second half. Like, that's coaching. They came out in the third quarter and adjusted. And UTSA can't. If the thing that UTSA wants to works, Roadrunner's got a chance. If at any point during the game it doesn't, and you have to make an adjustment offensively or defensively, right now they're not capable of doing it. Not well, not better than the other staff. We've seen Texas State do that to them, and now we've seen Temple do it to them. I think it's kind of like the Texas State conversation last week. I think as fans and as people who watch sports, we take results and we apply a certainty to them as if they were always going to be that way, or if you played it out 10 other times, it was always going to be that way. Like UTSA is like, 31 and whatever, 39 and 14 over the first 4 years of Jeff Traylor's tenure, and that makes them better than everybody. But if you go back and you like look through the bones of that, there was a lot of like coin flip 1-possession games that could have gone either way that just went UTSA's favor. You win enough of those, and you're great. And then they start going the other way and you're bad. And I just think that's what's going on with UTSA right now. They were winning on the road. They were winning 1-possession games. They are no longer doing that now. And if from a 1,000-foot seat, the things I guess I would say are most likely to me to be the culprit are inexperience and maybe a lack of leadership within the roster that you used to have. Like, you don't have Frank Harris and Rashad Wisdom and those guys. Like, I'm not even talking about talent on the field, just like the dudes they are in the locker room. I don't think it's as player-led as they used to. And you don't have Will Stein. You don't have Barry Looney. Like, those guys got hired away for reasons. Those are 2 excellent young coaches. I feel like it's a stale program right now, and something has to happen to shake it up. And I understand. I talk to coaches for a living, and they get furious at this kind of stuff, right? Because they're like, what the F does that mean? Shake it up. These are people's livelihoods. They're good coaches. There's context here. If I set you down and showed you all this film, like, I get that there's like real big brained reasons why this stuff happens. And it's not as simple as just like dude on a microphone being like, just shake it up. Right. But like, I've been in relationships before, sometimes you just got to do a thing to rock a boat. Like, that's why you're getting that's what the money's for. Like, that's what you're getting paid to do. Like, you're getting paid to win. And when you're not winning, you can't fire all the 21-year-olds. I guess now you can, kind of in the transfer portal, but you know what I mean? Like, you got to shake it up sometimes. And I think it's a program. It's 9-9 since the start of 2024. It has been pretty average if it doesn't turn around this season, they don't close well. If this is another 6-6 type regular season, I think if you're Traylor, you have to make some hard decisions in the offseason and just do something to bring in new voices and new light and new ideas, because the program clearly needs them.
I saw this from Jared Kalmus. Does UTSA have a 25-man coaching staff right now?
I don't know if that's. I wouldn't doubt it. All these staffs are just bloated completely. Like, there's just so many people on staffs now because the limits are gone and stuff that it's insane. It is.
We got a 25-man coaching staff and 0 halftime adjustments right now. Is basically what's happening.
Yeah. I think they used to have a coaching advantage. They used to have a talent advantage. They used to have an experience advantage. They used to have a leadership advantage. They used to have a home field advantage. They used to have all of these stuff, and like a lot of those are gone. Like a lot of the playing field has been evened, and they're no longer winning the coin flip games that they used to win. And there are people that are smarter than me that can probably identify some of the reasons for that, like on the football field. But I think at the end of the day, sometimes messages just need recalibration. And a lot of these tenures aren't 6 years for a reason, right? And you're not changing the head coach. And so you change some things on the staff just to bring in some fresh ideas, just to look at it differently. And I think the strength of Traylor at UTSA has been the continuity, has been the hiring from the within, and the kind of the mafia feel for that program, and which that, they don't bring in a bunch of outsiders and they do it their way. And that's great when it's working. But when it's not, I think sometimes you have to like cross-pollinate a little bit, like go outside the genetic makeup and be like, we need some new ideas in here. We need somebody that does it a little bit differently, that says it a little bit differently, like that looks at players a little bit differently. The old way's no longer working. And that's true across college football. And it's up to Traylor to adjust.
It happened with Clemson too, with Dabo.
Right. It happens
from within all the time.
I think it happens for most programs at year 6, right? Like you're either evolving or you're not. And like you're through a cycle of players. You've brought in your first group of players. They've now cycled out. You're on your second, third, fourth crop of recruits that are kind of coming in. Like it gets old. Like you move out of your parents' house, right? Because you're sick of hearing the same crap. Like I think it's the same. And when it's winning, nobody pays attention to that stuff because why rock the boat? But when it's losing, I think sometimes you just got to make some changes to make some changes.
My last note on this game is if you're Robert Henry and you are a dark horse Heisman contender, how do you chop off your dreadlocks in the middle of the season? How do you make that seismic of a change?
Yeah. We need to put out like a brand. We need to be like branding consultants. Cause that's bad bull. That's not smart.
12 carries for 42 yards. First game without the dreads.
Yeah. I mean, I've read the Old Testament. Can't cut off the hair. Sometimes that takes away some powers.
Yeah. I do love like how we're always like, yeah, there's people smarter than me. Like sometimes you just need to shake it up. And then I come on like, where are the dreads?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's clear what teams are doing at UTSA, right? It's just load the box, stop the run, see if the passing game can beat them. And so far it can't.
Okay. This is like descending order of bummers, right? Texas State, okay, tough, had a great start, but a bad loss. UTSA, wow, they need to shake up something about the program. And then Sam Houston. The season sinks to a new low after a 37-10 loss to New Mexico State. Bearcats are on 0-12 watch right now.
Yeah, Bearcats are on 0-12 watch. I think Sam Houston fans have seen this before. Like this is the second time in 3 years of the FBS program that they have been 0-5 to start the year. But when they went 0-5 in 2023, it was frustrating, not defeating. This feels defeating. I've been trying to think about since Thursday, because this game happened on Thursday night, right? It's been a long time since then, but this happened on Thursday. I've been trying to think of like what, if I was a Sam Houston fan, like what's a positive I could take from the start of this tenure? What could I point to and go, well, I like what they're doing here. Like we've talked about UTEP and they're not, but like you could point to the recruiting or the energy or like what, like the going out into the community and get like, there was things that you could like point to and be like, on the field hasn't happened yet, but like, I like what they're doing here off the field, or I like what they're doing. Like, I don't even know it's not the offense, it's not the defense, it's not really the recruiting, it's not really the community engagement. Like I don't feel like the fan base is all in on this one, and they're like, it just doesn't feel great, and it's too early into a tenure to feel this negative. Like they really need some good vibes somehow.
It's not the uniform reveals they do on social media because the fans don't like those either right now.
Yeah, everybody's just miserable. And it's like, it's 5 games in. You can't be this miserable. Like if you're fighting on your honeymoon, that's something, like that's a sign. I know the circumstances were unique and it put these guys in a hole. But if you're not going to be good on the field, you got to be good elsewhere. And I don't know. There's ways to kind of curry favor within a fan base that I just don't think they have. And you thought maybe, well, the defense is going to take a step back. They're not going to win a lot of football games, but like, let's see what the offense is. Maybe they can put up some points. When Longo was there before, they were exciting. They're not that offensively. They've lost every game by 17. They were favorites against New Mexico State and lost by 27. Yeah. On the only game on. Like it was the only college football game going that night. You needed it. You needed that win, and you lost by 27.
Yeah, Phil Longo, after the game, compared the season to a 12-round boxing match. And right now, Sam Houston looks like Randy Marsh saying, I didn't hear no bell.
Right now, if it was a 12-round boxing match and the referee hadn't stopped it, he'd be getting charged with something afterwards.
Yeah, it's like, how are you still alive?
Right. Yeah, it's The Simpsons, like, he's dead or whatever. I don't watch The Simpsons, but I've seen the meme. It's a stop the fight situation for sure.
Okay, that's gonna wrap it up for
we got Rice.
Oh shoot, I am so sorry.
Not that Rice wants us to talk about Rice, but
I forgot to put it on the rundown. Let's talk about them Owls.
Yeah, Rice lost to FAU. Battle of the Owls there. I'm not going to break down the game as if I watched all 60 minutes of it because I haven't. We're recording this on Sunday. There was a lot of games going on.
I also very clearly did not watch all 60 minutes of it.
But I will say that was a big game for Rice for us who bet the over on their 3.5 win total. Because they've won 3 so far. They needed that one for bowl eligibility. I think bowl eligibility is tough. They got a tough schedule. But UConn's pretty good. They just need to get to 4 wins to cash 3.5 over. UConn's pretty good, and so that leaves UAB. They're going to have to beat UAB down the stretch. There's not a lot of winnable games. Maybe UTSA is winnable. Maybe I need to stop my brain from thinking the Roadrunners are better than Rice. Rice beat them last year, so who am I to talk? I think we always knew that the offense was going to be round, hole, square peg in a lot of ways, just with the personnel. It wasn't recruited to be an option team. Now they're asked to be an option team. And they're going to have to win games with defense. When I was watching it on my iPad while in the Houston press box, just Florida Atlantic had too much success against Rice's defense to ask the Owls to score that many points. They're just not going to be a potent offense yet. And they didn't create enough big plays offensively to deal with the performance defensively that wasn't one of their best.
Here's the thing with Rice's offense, and this is a very general statement. This is not just about Rice, but with these option style offenses, I always feel like from the outside looking in, they work really well when you have the lead and you can maintain possession. You can control the game and you're like a boa constrictor on the other team. When you get down 10 points, it's really tough. Those offenses aren't built to be down 14 points and have to come back and score in a hurry.
Yep. And I think when talking to Abel over the offseason, one of the things he talked about multiple times was, this isn't the Navy or Army offense. We consider ourselves to be somewhat of a big play offense at times, like Oregon under Chip Kelly, where we can get wide, we can get vertical, we can do some stuff. That's just not there yet. They had, Quentin Jackson had the long 68-yard run, but other than that, it's very phone boothy. I just don't think it's as explosive as they want it to be yet. And then defensively, they're just not going to give up you're not going to be able to win many games in the 20s. Like they're going to have to win like they did against Louisiana. They gave up 290 yards passing, 3 touchdowns through the air. And so you look at it, and I just don't know. Don't know if they're completely there yet, obviously, in year one. And so, this is just what it is.
I also don't know if they want Chase Jenkins throwing the ball 17 times or not. Yeah. I feel like 17 is a high number. And that's showing you had to play from behind.
Yeah, they were down. It was just like the Navy game where, they got behind. And to your point, that's not what the offense is made to do. And they're not creating as many explosive plays in the run game. And so they have to go find them in the pass game in a way that I don't think in 2 years will be as true.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any more games I'm missing, or is that it?
No, that's it. That's it. North Texas and UTEP are idle.
So what are you looking forward to most about week 7 coming up? Let's give everyone a teaser before we come back Wednesday.
South Florida at North Texas.
That going into Red River rivalry is going to be a nice little double feature.
Yeah, it's going to be a star-studded press box. And again, I don't count myself in that at all. But every time I run into people, they're like, what are you doing next weekend for week 7? I'm like, oh, well, it's Red River. So I'm going to South Florida the night before. And they're like, oh, I'm going, and you're like, oh, wow. Have you ever been to a North Texas game before? You ever covered UNT? So that'll be great for the Mean Green. There's going to be a lot of eyes on them. It'll be a big game Friday night. It's an important, Vito, he's been talking about on social media, is this the biggest game in, the history of Mean Green football, at least the modern history of Mean Green football? You can make a real statement here if you're North Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to watch that. We'll have the full preview on Wednesday of that game and much more for what's going to be a packed week 7 of Texas college football. For senior writer Mike Craven, I am Carter Yates. We are signing off from the Dave Campbell's College Football Podcast. See you Wednesday.